such a pleasure to be able to speak to you as a fan of yours. And obviously, huge franchises like The Mummy, Star Trek, Destiny. But when it came to Grizzly Night, a really fantastic film, I would love to know what it was that drew you to this project in particular.
The script was good. The script was good. It's usually independent movies, it's a hit or miss, and I thought the script was great, and was happy to do it. Ended up being a great experience. On top of which, because shooting in Utah, and it was absolutely stunning and beautiful, and a lot of hiking, and it was really nice and great bunch of people.
Amazing. And, this is one of those animal survivor thrillers in the same vein as Jaws in some ways. So, was that something you'd been wanting to tick off the bucket list as an actor at all?
Um, no, I don't. I don't. It's funny. I don't really have a bucket list per se. you know, I think maybe I did when I was a little younger. I've been doing this for 25 years, and uh, it's important for me to do things that are a good read and projects that have really lovely people. And I've done some projects that were not a good read but had really lovely people, and were not the best projects. But I think you do this long enough, and you really it's really important that the environment that you're working in.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, the film is based on real life events of what happened in Montana
Yes,
in
yes.
1967. How does that really change your approach as an actor and how you approach, a character like John, who is so pivotal to the story?
Well, I think, to me, the kind of significance of this movie and the story that it tells is the change of mindset that we had prior and after these events. The fact that we're a lot more careful about not bringing or minimizing the human effect on life, on natural life. When it comes to our trash, when it comes to our getting too close to the bears, the mindset has changed from, oh, it's like a zoo that you get to do whatever you want, throw food at the, you know, to, what, we have to be very careful. We can't get them involved within our lives. We have to let them live more in the natural surroundings, and then we have a much better chance of not having the incidents like that happens in the movie.
Yeah, of course. And of course, John as well. He has to, as a doctor, he has to deal with the aftermath of these quite horrific
Yeah.
injuries. And they do a great job in the film of obviously portraying those in a very real kind of way, in a brutal way. So, what were those days like on set for you having to step into this doctor's shoes and help these people?
Well, I'm not a real doctor,
Yeah.
but I played one many times on television. So, it kind of came pretty naturally to
Yeah.
me. But um, it it's challenging and fun. It's fun doing these kind of drama sequences that are heartbreaking, and you
Mm.
really have to kind of find those emotions and be real with those emotions, and yet still behave, like a doctor, because doctors could um, doctors could at some point separate themselves a little more, from uh, to excuse me,
Bless you.
change of temperature. I was coming from the outside inside, and all of a sudden, like, your body's warming up. So, um, yeah. So finding those moments of, a doctor, how emotional would the doctor get, or would he just be working and then allow himself to get emotional? Um, it was obviously a very sad happening in an environment that you are, going on vacation and going camping and so on. And um, it's a very, very sad thing, both for the humans and for the animals. So I think there was a lot of drama to play with. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned filming in Utah before. To be in those surroundings, obviously very similar to where these people would have been in the 1960s. Was that helpful for your performance and to almost step into their shoes in that respect as well, compared to, being on the volume or a green screen in a studio?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah. Filming, of course, in outdoors, in nature, and kind of much more real life situations is it's much easier than green screen. And personally, it's a lot more fun than green screen. Um, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful place. We filmed that. Allowed us to drive up in the mountains to go to set every day. You'd see a lot of deer and wildlife, and I think boars, and I think we actually saw uh, like a mom moose and a baby moose one night, and it was very impressive. Um, yeah, really, really, really beautiful.
Yeah, sounds incredible. And I have read that the movie utilized a real trained bear. So did you ever get up close and personal with that bear? Did you see that on set or did that change the
Most
experience?
definitely saw the bear on
Ah.
set, and never got to come up close and personal, which I'm very happy about. Though the bear seemed so uh, cute in a certain
Hmm.
way, Um, but yeah, it was interesting to see the trainer and how he was working with him, and how he was handling the animal. There were very strict rules of what we're allowed to and not allowed to do before the bear came over.
Yeah.
Um, Not entirely sure I remember exactly, but there was a lot of things about our food and and where we're stepping and so on, because they can smell. And um, but it was it was very impressive. Very
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And I did love that the film, it's really about respecting wildlife and nature. And as you said yourself, there was really a before and after with this incident that happened and how it changed things. So coming into this film, did you have a lot of thoughts on that kind of balance between, respecting wildlife and that kind of thing? Did you bring any thoughts of your own?
Well, I mean, I'd like to think that I have great respect for wildlife and great admiration of wildlife, and trying to do my part. I live in Austin, Texas, which is a big hunting state. Texas,
Yeah.
and it's something that is so strange to me. On the one hand, uh, on the other, truthfully, I have friends who are hunters, and all they eat is the meat they hunt, and that's all, and they use it all. And that kind of makes you think, well, I know it seems very violent to go hunting, but wouldn't that be better than the mass produced meat industry that we have, that has so much waste, as well as the fact that the animals don't get to grow. Many times they don't get to grow naturally in the natural environment. In Texas, you have farms everywhere where the cows are allowed to roam free and so on. But so it's interesting. I it's a kind of a conflicted way of thinking. I'm not entirely sure, but I try to live my life just being as conscientious about wildlife and our world as much as I can.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And this film is a real interesting as well, mix of genres. There's a little bit of horror. Obviously, it is based on facts as well, and it's a drama. So when you're approaching a film like this, it kind of plays in all those different places. Does that present any unique challenges to you as an actor? Or do you really rely what's on the script and what you can then do with a character like John?
uh yeah, I mean, it's not a horror, as Resident Evil were more of a kind of a horror kind of film, uh which, you as an actor, you always try to find the truth in things. Even if it's a horror, you have to find the truth in the horror. So it all is kind of different levels of similar things. Uh, as I said before, I mean, you're playing a doctor who actually the real character in real life was two. There were two different doctors, and they kind of combined it into the one character. But you try to think of a family man who has a young daughter at the same age as one of the victims, um, and he is if I remember correctly, he was a general surgeon. So he is used to dealing with bad injuries and emergencies. But then again, he's in this environment of going on vacation with his family, and what does it mean for his daughter to witness and experience all of this, and and so on. So it was challenging and fun, to try and find the truth in that story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just while I've got you, Oded, Brendan Fraser said that the Mummy franchise, it looks like those reports about it coming back for another film could be true. So have you heard anything about maybe going back to that world? Would you like to go back?
I've heard many things from a lot of people. I have not been officially approached, but I've heard many things from many people. I think it. I'm assuming it's going to happen, and I'm probably as excited as you are about it. Um, big responsibility to try and you know make a movie that the fans will love as much as the first two, which are the only ones that are important, really. Um, yeah, I don't know. The Mummy made me into a working actor, and I love the film. I mean, I love the franchise. I think it still holds up wonderfully, and I love the people that I got to work with. So it'd be incredible to get to do that again.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And of course, you're keeping busy at the moment with Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, which obviously just started recently. And how exciting has it been to go back to that Fleet Admiral Charles Vance character and continue the story?
I think that's that's kind of the biggest compliment that you can get is, being a uh, reoccurring on a show and getting asked to come back and come back and come back, and then there's a new show and the character moves over. I mean, it's the biggest compliment one could get, and it's a lot of fun because this new one is different from Discovery. The tone is different.
Yeah.
It's a lot lighter in places, a lot bubblier, a lot more, um, you know, uh, optimistic. I think a college story is very fitting to Star Trek. Star Trek is such a optimistic show, and college is such an optimistic place. I think it fits it very well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. And I've got to ask as well, some of my favorite scenes in the film are with you and Lauren Cole. I know she's a newer actress on the scenes. So what was it like to work with her? The great scene between the two of you near the end of the film. But how did you find working with her? And obviously being a veteran actor yourself, did you impart any advice to her or was she pretty great the moment you met?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think everybody was, acting is the art of reacting, and I can't tell you specific moments where I suggested anything or so on, but we suggest things all the time.
Yeah.
It's the greatest moments I've ever had on screen were all collaboration with somebody else and ideas that a friend had or an actor had or a director had, and it's I think it felt very much like that on set there, the ability to kind of collaborate together and figure things out together. It's all a learning experience. I mean, I remember working with Sean Penn, and he was talking about the fact that he's still learning. So we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one final question for you. I've mentioned some of my favorite projects of yours that you've been in, but obviously this is a really great film with with really strong message. But what would you like audiences to take away from watching this film, would you say?
You know, anytime that we can tell a story that is helping us remember that this world belongs to many different creatures, and we should try and respect it, and as much as we can, respect them as much as we can. Um, do what we can to allow it to continue. I think is always a good message.